New York City has the largest homeless population in the United States. Why is that? Known as the city that never sleeps, New York is constantly alive with lights and energy, with iconic skyscrapers like the Empire State Building and vibrant hubs like Times Square. This city is a global center for arts, culture, and business, drawing millions of visitors each year to famous landmarks like Central Park and Broadway. However, the city's soaring cost of living and skyrocketing rental prices have made it increasingly difficult for many people to secure affordable housing. Economic challenges and high unemployment have worsened the situation, while a shortage of affordable housing units and limited shelter options have left many with no choice but to live on the streets. Can New York tackle its homelessness crisis? Let's explore the question, why is the homeless population in New York City so high? Homelessness in New York. In recent years, homelessness has become one of the most pressing issues in New York City, reaching levels unseen since the Great Depression of the 1930s. As of August 2024, over 132,000 people rely on homeless shelters across the city. However, this figure doesn't account for those who sleep on the streets. Individuals who find rest on benches, sidewalks, or tucked away in city parks. It's estimated that over 200,000 residents in New York lack a permanent home, instead staying temporarily with friends or family. Altogether, this means nearly 350,000 individuals in New York City face the hardships of homelessness, reflecting a deep and persistent crisis. Despite being a global symbol of success and modern ambition, New York is a city divided. On one side is a world filled with prosperity, opportunity, and drive, where people hurry down its avenues in polished attire fueled by coffee and determination. This side of New York celebrates achievement, rewarding those who pursue their dreams relentlessly. Yet, in the shadows of this prosperity lies a very different reality. A reality marked by hardship, where the homeless struggle for basic needs. For those living on the streets, each day is a fight for survival. Many rely on discarded food and face constant challenges, from securing shelter to enduring the cold and rain. Their experiences reveal the cost of New York's rapid growth and reflect the city's ongoing challenge to support all its residents. New York, often called the Big Apple, has built itself into a global beacon of progress, innovation, and resilience. Its skyscrapers stretch towards the sky, embodying a spirit that seems unbreakable. However, as New York continues to grow, the crisis of homelessness remains a poignant reminder of the city's complex, layered identity. The contrast between affluence and hardship underscores the challenges faced by one of the world's most dynamic cities, a city that somehow manages to be both a place of dreams and one of daily struggle for survival. Life on the streets. With nearly 8 million residents, New York stands as the most populous city in the United States. But for many of its homeless population, life is confined to overcrowded shelters where resources are stretched thin, and tensions can quickly rise. Local government-run shelters are often filled to capacity, offering limited personal space and comfort, which can make daily life even more challenging. Some individuals find the shelter environment so overwhelming or stressful that they choose to live on the streets instead. Here, they make use of makeshift shelters, like tents or cardboard structures, that offer minimal protection, especially during New York's unforgiving winters. In 2024, the average high temperature during New York's winter months has been a chilly 4.2 degrees Celsius, around 39 degrees Fahrenheit, while lows drop to approximately 2.3 degrees Celsius, 28 degrees Fahrenheit. On particularly cold days, temperatures have been known to fall below 20 degrees Celsius, 4 degrees Fahrenheit, with the wind chill making conditions even harsher and more hazardous. To address this, the city implements Code Blue during periods of severe cold. This policy ensures that shelters open their doors to anyone seeking warmth, regardless of their typical restrictions. During these times, outreach workers patrol the streets, urging those without homes to come inside and escape the life-threatening cold. Yet, New York's approach to homelessness has sparked debate. City Hall has introduced measures to clear public spaces of visible homelessness, such as dismantling tent settlements on sidewalks and removing individuals from subway stations and trains. While intended to maintain public order, these policies have met with criticism, as they often disrupt the lives of those already facing extreme hardship. For many who are homeless, public shelters are not always a feasible option, and navigating the system remains complicated and challenging, leaving some to choose life on the streets despite the difficulties. Factors behind homelessness crisis. The influx of immigrants to New York has reached record numbers, intensifying the city's housing challenges. Since 2022, over 160,000 immigrants have sought refuge in New York, with approximately 70,000 still dependent on the public shelter system. As these shelters reach maximum capacity, many newcomers find themselves without a stable place to stay, often spending nights on Manhattan's cold streets with few alternatives. Although the rise in immigration adds strain to the already overburdened shelter network, the root cause of New York's homelessness crisis lies in the lack of affordable housing. Federal data shows that the average monthly income in New York is around $3,100. In comparison, renting a typical apartment costs about $3,047 per month, nearly swallowing up an entire paycheck and leaving little to cover other living expenses. The annual report from the National Low-Income Housing Coalition, titled Out of Reach, sheds light on this economic imbalance. It reveals that to afford a modest two-bedroom apartment without exceeding 30% of their income on rent, a New Yorker would need to earn at least $30.21 per hour. This amount is twice the minimum wage of $15 per hour, underscoring a gap between wages and housing costs that feels insurmountable for many. Income inequality isn't isolated. It intertwines closely with gentrification. This trend, where wealthier individuals move into historically lower income areas, has reshaped various neighborhoods in New York. Gentrification usually brings steep housing prices, major renovations, and rising property values, often leading to the displacement of long-standing residents. For some, these changes have turned neighborhoods they once called home into places they can no longer afford, pushing them out and, in some cases, onto the streets. Homelessness is also compounded by personal challenges, as many people living on the streets struggle with constant uncertainty, mental health issues, and addiction. Media coverage can be unforgiving, portraying the homeless as a threatening presence. The New York Post, for example, has depicted them as zombies, citing discarded needles and occasional aggression toward passersby as evidence of a growing issue. Experts like Professor Stephen Metro from the National Center for Homelessness among veterans at the University of Delaware highlight a glaring contradiction in the United States. Despite its vast wealth, the nation's resources remain unevenly distributed. Metro explains that a small percentage of people control a large portion of the country's wealth, while countless others are left struggling to afford essentials like housing. This imbalance fuels the cycle of homelessness and makes escaping poverty nearly impossible for many. Social and economic impact. The homelessness crisis in New York City has far-reaching social consequences. Research from institutions like Harvard University has documented the heavy toll it takes on mental health, with high rates of depression, anxiety, and even schizophrenia reported among the homeless population. The constant stress and uncertainty that accompany homelessness often trigger or worsen these mental health conditions, making it increasingly difficult for individuals to seek or receive necessary health care. Substance abuse, including addiction to alcohol and drugs, is another common issue in this community, creating a cycle that amplifies both social isolation and health struggles over time. Without a stable home, many are cut off from social support networks, furthering their sense of isolation and making it even harder to re-establish meaningful connections. Economically, homelessness also imposes substantial costs on New York City. Emergency shelters, healthcare for untreated conditions, and the indirect expenses of lost productivity contribute to significant public expenditures. When a large segment of the population is disconnected from stable employment due to housing instability or health issues, it stifles the city's overall economic productivity and growth potential. Addressing homelessness, then, is not only about tackling a social issue, it's a humanitarian imperative. Those affected are often caught in an unrelenting cycle of poverty, health challenges, and addiction, needing compassion and assistance rather than blame. The question becomes, what practical and effective solutions can New York City implement to address its growing homeless population and break this cycle? Urgency and long-term solutions. Though we may not have all the answers, a sustainable approach to homelessness likely requires multiple strategies working together. First and foremost, expanding affordable housing is crucial. New York City needs to prioritize building safe, quality shelters and establishing strong housing assistance programs that guide homeless individuals towards stable, long-term housing. Creating affordable, dependable housing options is essential for breaking the homelessness cycle and giving individuals a chance to rebuild. Alongside housing, expanding access to mental health and addiction services is vital. Many people experiencing homelessness struggle with complex mental health and addiction issues, and without proper support, these challenges can keep them trapped in a cycle of instability. Readily available rehabilitation and counseling programs would offer the help they need to manage their mental health and overcome addiction, providing a foundation for a more stable life. Lastly, boosting access to education and job training could be transformative for many. Homeless individuals often lack the skills or opportunities required in today's job market, which limits their employment prospects. Comprehensive education and job training initiatives would give them the tools, skills, and confidence needed to secure employment and eventually achieve financial independence.